I'm a chef manager and I've come today to try and encourage people not to bin their pumpkin but actually give it some proper use. They take a long time to grow, they're given lots of nutrients and care in that process, and we should respect that and not just confine them to the compost heap. First, I'm going to suggest that anybody wanting to decorate their pumpkin, instead of cutting it open and risking life, limb and fingers, you could go to our pumpkin station where we have these lovely stickers which can be placed, which can then be used in the normal manner. One other thing you can do is, if you do want to cut out your pumpkin in the traditional way, you take off the top, pour out the seeds, cut your eyes and things, instead of putting a candle in and putting it outdoors. If you get one of those little flashing lights for a bicycle, the front light, put it on flash, pop it inside, saves you a candle, it saves ruining and blackening the inside of your pumpkin, so it's still usable afterwards. I'm going to be demonstrating two recipes. One is a multi and one is good old chili. So to start with, I'm just going to show a safe way to deal with your pumpkin. So for that, I have trusty potato peeler and a little serrated knife. Now, you can buy these, they're specially designed. However, any little serrated knife will do, doesn't have to be. People always think pumpkins are quite tough, but the skin will come off quite easily. Yes, so you just have to persevere. If it starts to not want to go your way, just move the direction and it'll start to go again. And just continue all the way round. Now, getting into the pumpkin, it's always difficult getting the top off. Don't bother to try to deal with this. This is a tough buddy and you will inflict damage on you. So the safest way is to get your little serrated knife, poke it in, and then just saw along. So what you're doing is you're creating a little window. And as you can see, I've already done this and taken out a section. So in that way, you just demolish it in 3 portions. This quantity here, so this is the ingredients for a chili for 2 people. This amount of pumpkin is actually only about 1/3 of this pumpkin. Yeah, you'd imagine it's a lot more, but it only took 1/3 of this pumpkin. And it's the same for the other recipe. So in our chili, here we have some green lentils, which are really, really high in protein. And lentils are something that in the West we kind of overlook. And they are full of nutrients, they're full of antitoxins, as is pumpkin. Pumpkin is really high in antitoxins, potassium. It has lots of good things that should not be just thrown away. On the plate, I have our 3 traditional favourites, which is our onion, our celery and our carrot. And no matter where you go on the planet, this is your stock base. And every stock cube you purchase, no matter how expensive or how cheap, all start off with these 3 vegetables. They may have other things, garlic and things added to them later, but they all start with these. Without these are our flavour base and they're used in everything. So we always start with those. So as you can see, this is the end. This is our end product for our chili. Now this doesn't have any meat in it, but because of the green lentils, it looks more like a traditional chili. It is fortunately one of those recipes that, if indeed you do have some meat or you want to add some meat to it, it's really easy to do that. You can simply cook off your meat first. Once it's nice and sealed, put it to one side, continue the recipe as stated, and then add the meat back in and allow it to cook for at least 15 minutes to bring it back up to temperature. And there you have your meat added in. So there's lots of things that we can do. We have our pumpkin, and as you can see, I've kept some of the seeds. All you have to do is separate them from the fibre, which actually is quite easy, especially if you do it in a little bit of water. To eat them, what you want is the nice green bit inside. So in order to achieve that, you boil them for 10 minutes, a little bit of salty water, then pat them dry, put them in either an air dryer or into an oven, and you roast them on a lower heat for about 15 to 20 minutes. And you'll find that the outer shell becomes nice and crisp, and you can pop it with your teeth to pop out the seed. It's a really nice, salty, good high protein snack to have sitting watching TV. Instead of your popcorn, you have your salty pumpkin seeds. You know, will make a mess on your carpet, so do keep a bowl handy. So that's our chili. It's very easy to make. As you will see in the steps, everything is just put into the same pot. I have here a pot going which is for this second recipe, where everything is cut bigger, chunkier, more along this size instead of the fine diced. And this is I suppose it's our variety recipe, because once you get it to a point where your vegetables are nice and soft, you can then decide. You can either have it as is, as a stew, you can blend it into a soup, or you can throw in, as with here, added some pasta and just turned it into a pasta dish. And so it's quite versatile like that. And for anyone, the only difference between them predominantly is the size of the vegetable and how it's chopped, and also what flavour stock we've used. Obviously for the chili we've done a beef one, but if you're vegetarian or vegan, there are available vegetarian beef flavoured stock, where they use things like you get in your Marmite and your Vegemite, that sort of flavour. So you still get a rich beefy flavour. Right, so as I'm going to demonstrate chopping some of the vegetables, just for a safety thing. I suppose the most awkward one is going to be the pumpkin. So I'm going to finish peeling this and take out a section. So with the pumpkin, it can be used in lots of things. It is a lot softer than most of the root vegetables, and so it will almost dissolve into your stock and make a nice thick base. So as you see, I'm turning the pumpkin around to suit me so that it grabs on the flesh. If it's not grabbing, I just twist it into a different direction where it has an opportunity to catch again. Remove all of this. And again, with my little serrated knife, no big sharp knife, just cut the little window. And I've just broken my knife. Pretend you didn't see that.
Oh my God.
I think that's more than me being a bit more of a hefty Irish woman than the quality of the product. So move that over there and pretend it didn't happen. Right, so now I've got my little window out, And as you can see, I've got all this stringiness attached. The easiest way is just to get any spoon, preferably a soup spoon just because of the size, and you just scrape gently. You don't need to do it very hard because you don't want to lose any pumpkin. You just want to get those little stringy tendons that are holding on to the seeds. And then that leaves you with your pumpkin. As you can see, the seeds are coming out at me everywhere here. They've suddenly decided to release. And you'll see with it, most of them are hanging loose. And you can just pull them off. And then abandon the little fibrous bit. And that's really easy to do. So with the pumpkin, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to take it on its longest piece, on its longest side, and I'm just going to cut it down in little slices. Kind of, I suppose, thinking of peach slices, that kind of. And now they are a weird shape, yeah. So but don't worry about it. Just find yourself a straight line and follow the straight line. And then once you've got them so they're in what the chefs would call julienne, which is long, thin finger pieces. Then you're basically just turning them around, taking them in a bunch, and just dicing them. So we're aiming here to get them, as it says on the paper, we're aiming to get them small enough so that when they're cooked with the lentils, they're not standing out as any particular veg. You know, they're mingled in. And the less you can identify them, especially if you're feeding children, the less they can identify the vegetable, probably the better. But also to get that look and consistency that you would expect if you were doing a mince chili. It helps to give you that. Now, with regards to the lentils, we've chosen green, and I've particularly chosen the dark green because they tend to hold their shape better. If you go for the lighter colours, the orange and the yellow, they tend to disintegrate, and so they will break down far more easily. So they're better for soups and things to thicken and add protein to any soups, or if you're making a dal or anything like that. But the green ones, there's no difference in the protein or their nutritious value. Purely it is the aesthetics and how they look. So moving on, I'm going to move this over and we're going to have a look at the next sorry, just need to pop this. I don't want to burn anything. Okay. So I'm going to need to, I seem to have forgotten my ladle and bowl. So round the back, if you could get me just a small soup bowl and a ladle of some sort, that would be great. This is cool.
Yeah, no. So, for the seeds, you separate the seeds for fiber in water, boil 10 minutes in salted water, dry off. What temperature would you suggest for
I would suggest about 120 to 140.
Should they use any oil?
No.
Don't use any oil.
You can if you want to like flavor of it. Yes. But you don't necessarily need it. If you're wanting to salt them, then a little bit of oil will help the salt thing. So, but mostly you want to dry them. See if you can find one. And so the one thing is make sure you have a fan assisted oven to turn the fan on.
Yeah. I don't have that. I don't know that. They'll turn it into cinders.
Yes, and then it's slower, you're not chasing them for weeks. With, yes, that's fine. Thank you. So here I'm just going to label some of this out so that you can see what it looks like. So this is what our pasta started off like. So we've got it's nice chunky bits. So this is what I would call a stage where it's stew. It's basically a vegetable stew at this point. If you wanted to add pasta, then you add your pasta, put the lid on and leave it for about 10 minutes. The pasta will cook quite happily in the liquid. You can, of course, take it at this point and blend it. And so we will endeavour to do that. You can either, it's better if you're blending to let it cool a little. It's fine doing it hot if you're using, as I'm going to, a stick blender. But if you're transferring it to any type of item that's going to blitz it, you're going to find that it will start to, the heat will not keep your lid on and you will wind up with a lovely mess. So it is usually the steam that's created when you're blending that causes.
So can that be eaten that way too?
Yes, yeah, it's fine like that. It's got all its herbs and spices in. It's just a pumpkin stew. And so you add the pasta if you wish, which helps to bulk it up. This is basically this same portion. You will get, that's half the amount that was created from it. As with this is half of the amount of the recipe. And just served up with some rice and broccoli. But yes, if you're planning on blitzing it into a soup, then I suggest you to use a stick blender or wait for it to cool a little. You can just reheat it, microwave it or whatever, to bring it back up to a nice temperature to consume. So I'm just going to do that so that we can see what it's like. Scanning around and she did give it on. Oh, they're looking up, they've been used to.
Me?
So we'll wait. See if she's got one there.
So I'm on my phone also, I am doing social media content.
Okay.
Texting.
So you can see we've very quickly gone from chunky
bits.
chunky one.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to
Yeah.
You want me to taste tester?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go, Anna. Me?
just get some coffee or something, I don't have anything to say at the moment. So,
If you get
Are you using rinse this too out?
Oh, good idea.
Yeah.
We still need it. I'm gonna walk behind you.
Yeah.
so from this one lot,
Yeah, take it.
we have gotten 3 different things.
Still need it registered.
Yeah, which one do you want? Which one do you want?